With potential spoilers for WrestleMania and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Touching on his feud with Ricky Starks, Chris Jericho had this to say about his opponent on Busted Open Radio. When you first stand in the ring with The Rock, you talk about a generational talent that's a different level. The thing with Ricky is, I've seen glimpses of that, which is great. He's still harnessing, and the idea for this program was to continue to build. He did a great promo in San Antonio when we started that really blew my mind. I thought it was awesome. Then there were some moments that weren't quite as good just because that's how it goes. I thought last night was the best Starks has been in our program so far. Nuances. A lot of the younger guys, they'll talk with deep breathing because they were afraid to be like, I want to say this, pause, let the crowd react. He really had some great nuances with that. That's what Sammy Guevara and Danny Garcia are learning. Guys have to learn when they haven't had a lot of promos, really how to hone in what you are and how to hold the crowd in the palm of your hand without saying a word. At the click of a pin, shall we say. Ricky is really starting to hone in on that and figure it out, which has been great. On the sessions, Kenny Omega said this about male stars in AEW getting complacent with thinking they will be the focus of the show. And it's like, no, you guys got to be careful because the women stars are coming for you. And not only that, they deserve your spot. Now, I feel that we have earned that trust. There are people we have to convince on the business end of things as well that this is a proven thing. This can be successful and that people want to watch it. We've proven that, yes, people will like it, people want to watch it, and yes, it is good. Recalling his matches against Randy Orton from WWE, Bryan Danielson said this to The Ringer. I would get to wrestle Randy Orton at house shows, who might be one of my favorite people to ever wrestle in the sense of he and I just clicked, and Randy is so good. You're wrestling all these untelevised matches right in front of live events, and if you're somebody who tries to continually get better, it's a great place to hone the details, your explosiveness, of all the different things that you can do. When I wrestle Randy, and when I watch Randy, and especially like Randy at his best, I think, man, this guy is untouchable. Everything he does is perfect. On his 83 Weeks podcast, Eric Bischoff said this about the prospect of WWE Chairman Vince McMahon returning to creative for the company. I don't think too much about it because I don't know for sure, and I don't put a lot of thought into things that people said they have heard. I'm not saying it's not true. I can see a scenario where it is true. My impression of Vince McMahon is that he likes to have his fingerprints over everything. That's his history. Would it surprise me if Vince has some input into creative? No. It would not surprise me if he didn't. It's a part of his DNA. It always has been. The follow-up question might be, do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing? So far, it's not been a bad thing. Talking about the differences in WWE creative under Vince McMahon as opposed to now, Austin Theory told Inside the Ropes, it's like one of these things with WWE, and it's so funny because this was back working with Vince McMahon, expect the unexpected. It's just one of those things where there's nothing that's really set in stone and nothing that's really mapped out. At any moment, anything can happen. It's one of those things you don't really know where something's gonna go. Honestly, you just show up and give it everything you've got, and that's what I do every time. During a Wrestling Shoot interviews discussion, former WWE star Heath Slater said this about his time working with John Cena. Okay, Cena was always cool with me. He was like, I don't have a bad thing to say about John, but the one thing I know about John Cena is that he is all about John Cena. You know what I mean? Which any person would be if you were in this environment, but I've never been that me guy. I've been more like, hey, let's spread the love. You know what I mean? Let's spread it out a little bit, man. I can help you, you can help me, this and that. But you can honestly say, like with John, it's like, I'm doing this is what I've got to do, you know, I'm sorry if I step on your toes. Addressing his new look in AEW, Keith Lee said this to Fightful: "This is definitely the same Keith Lee that left, alright? The Keith Lee that left is actually not the entirety of what Keith Lee is. I think that what inspired that look or return and all of that, I think in my previous interview, the exact terminology I used was a giant middle finger to society and a lot of companies that say what you need to look like, a lot of people that tell you what you need to look like. Instead, I decided to say, okay, here's reality. I've actually made statements about this in the past. I saw my first gray hairs at 16, which means that we're coming in long before that, right? I want people to be comfortable with who they are. Now, don't get me wrong. I want people to be their best versions of themselves, but not at the expense of their natural looks. While I want people to take care of themselves physically and do what they can to adhere to their health, things of that sort, I'm going to be the trendsetter that says, okay, naturally gray hair, white hair, however you view it, I'm going to be the one who sets it off, because I am who I am, and I don't really care what people say or think about me. I'm going to be successful doing this. I'm going to change the game once again. That's what I always do. That's really what it's about." In an update on how WWE feels about the progress made by Dominik Mysterio, Ringside News wrote, "There is a report going around that WWE has more faith in Dominik Mysterio right now. We reached out to confirm this and were told, I don't know there was ever a lack of faith in Dom. He has gained more faith. He's progressed at the rate we expected him to." It seems that a WWE star is interested in a boxing match, as Sean Ross Sapp reported that Dana Brooke is engaged to MMA fighter Yuli Diaz, who has found great success. She told me years ago that she'd done a little MMA training. In talking with her, she said that she does a lot of jiu-jitsu training now, but boxing is on her bucket list. She tries to incorporate it into her training each week and has considered taking a boxing fight soon. We also spoke to Dana about the 24/7 title, and she admitted she was brokenhearted about the title going away, saying she put her heart and soul into it. She said that she made a lot of pitches for the 24/7 title that didn't happen. Specifically, she said that she pitched for the 24/7 title to become a women's intercontinental title. When it comes to what to expect for the women's tag title match at WrestleMania 39, Dave Meltzer said this about Ronda Rousey on Wrestling Observer Radio. "She's out, and you know exactly how. How much she will be recovered by the next time she is wrestling again is unknown, but the hope is that they will still win the tag team titles at WrestleMania. That was the original idea. That was the hope." Speaking of spoilers in WWE, Meltzer noted this on Wrestling Observer Radio in regards to plans for the Bloodline, given the booking on SmackDown last week. With Solo, they ended in double countout because they're not going to beat Solo. They're saving Solo for Roman whenever that day comes. Also on Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer noted this about a recent comment from Roman Reigns about Dusty Rhodes and the late star's feelings towards his son Cody. The idea that Dusty Rhodes wasn't a fan of Cody or anything is the farthest thing from the truth, because when Dusty was working and Cody was on the main roster, if Cody lost a match on Raw on Monday, Dusty would be in a bad mood the entire week. If Cody won, then Dusty would be in a good mood the entire week. His mood was determined by how Cody was being booked that week. Dusty was so into Cody. I know Cody told me that he thought Dusty would be upset about him leaving WWE. On his podcast, the Nature Boy Ric Flair revealed that he had previous issues with Sami Zayn. As he noted, "Knoxville's the only guy on the roster that Zayn could probably beat. If Zayn gets heat with me, he's got to get heat with the Marks." For me, personally, when I got to make small talk to get along with Sami Zayn, that's all I've got to say. When I got to walk through to make small talk with Kevin Owens, who is 10 times the performer and a great guy, who understands and respects who I am, and Sami Zayn kind of easing around in the hallway, and I got to make small talk to connect with him, he's done in my book. In some unfortunate news, former Impact Wrestling star Larry D said that he went through his home burning down as he wrote, "We lost our home to a house fire tonight, everything gone. I'm for the first time at a loss for words and do not know where to start. Thankfully, our dog and cats were saved and recovered. Long road for my wife, our 4 kids, and I love you all. Tia for positive and prayers." Larry D's ex-wife Amanda Caswell posted this on GoFundMe. "Hi, my name is Amanda Caswell. I started this GoFundMe page to help my ex-husband Larry Jones and his wife Paige Jones together. We share a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son. Paige has a 15-year-old daughter from a previous relationship, and they have a 6-year-old daughter together, and they've just lost their home to a fire. They've lost everything and will be starting from scratch. They have no clothes, no furniture, and no toys for their baby. $10,000 isn't nearly enough, but it is enough to get started. Please help me, help them rebuild. Every little bit will be appreciated. God bless." Touching on the possibility of MJF signing with WWE when his AEW contract is up in 2024, Sean Ross Sapp reported that MJF has told anyone that asked the same thing that he says on AEW TV, that his deal is up at the start of the year. This extends to WWE as well, including one WWE talent outright admitting that MJF said, "I'm looking forward to being there in 2024, before noting that while MJF wanted him to think he was serious, they take it with a grain of salt. Word of him saying that had made its way to other talent there as well. One WWE source we spoke to said that obviously WWE has been and would be interested in MJF if and when he was available, but the many in the company aren't even sure when his AEW contract is actually up and are operating on assumptions and what he's told the people." And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.